Hello my lovely people, how are you all doing? I am back again, what a surprise. I am here to do the scary video of the next monthly TBR. We are now coming into October, which is my birthday month. Ooh. I'm not doing anything special, like some people I've seen throughout this year have done like mood reading on the birthday months. I'm not doing that because there are readathons I want to join in with, as well as the usual yearly challenges that I have been taking part in all year, or trying to anyway. So, I have quite a big TBR again, because I have quite a lot of, well, I only have technically two monthly readathons, not including the autumn bingo that Chantel's doing, which is for 3 months. So it includes October, but started in September this month, because we're still in September as I'm filming this. So I have a lot of books to go through, because they are essentially, both of the monthly readathons are readathons where you can't double up. So, yay. So I'm going to try and double up between them, but individually they are technically just individual books. So we will have to see, because some of these books aren't the shortest. Some of them aren't bad. To be fair, some of them aren't too bad, or your average sort of books. But I am a slow reader, so yay. So I'm not quite sure how to go about this. I don't know whether to do it. I don't know whether to talk to you about it by book or through readathon / yearly challenges. Yeah. I might do it. There's a bit of a mess about though. I'm gonna do it by readathons / yearly challenges. It'll be a bit of a mess, and there will be repeats of books when I get to the monthly challenges, but that's fine. So let's start with my first reading challenge for the year, and that is the Cozy Reading Challenge by Teresa from Creatively Faithful. And this month I am doing Cup of Tea, which she said is a book set in England. Now I do have books that are technically set in the UK. However, England is a specific country in the United Kingdom. So, whilst I did have a book already on my TBR that is set in Wales, because it's set in Wales, not England, I'm not counting it, because we all see, especially the Scottish, Welsh and Irish people and countries, they don't count, they don't consider themselves English. British, but not English. So because of that, I have decided to add a book to my TBR. And this book will probably be cropping up elsewhere, so you're welcome. I picked the third Harry Potter book, which is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So far, at least the first 3 books are reasonably short, so I'm hoping it's reasonably quick to get to. This is, now, to preface, I'm not sure where Hogwarts is, but the main character Harry and Hermione are both English. Ron, well, I mean, he's not Muggle-born, but I'm assuming he's English, although you could say he might not be English and more, I don't know, somewhere else, like Scotland or something, but he doesn't really have a Scottish accent or any other accent other than English, so I'm going to count them as that. So even though technically the school might not be in England, and more like, because it's in the countryside, it's, you know, and it's hidden away, so I'm not quite sure where it is. But because it is considered English, this series and all of that, I'm going to count it. But obviously there are characters that aren't English, they're British, so that, you know, they'll be like Seamus Finnegan, he's Irish, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm going to count this for that. For Cup of Tea, so my next readathon is Katie's Readathon from Paperbacks to Ponytails, and that's the Princess Bride-athon. Now, this book is one I have started already. However, I don't think I'm going to finish it. There's also other books this month that I don't think I'm going to finish, but I'm going to leave that for my wrap-up, because I don't know how many I'll get to. I don't know whether I'll put down this book I'm going to show you and start a different one, just because I know I won't finish them, or what, I'm not quite sure. But this is the book that I am mainly picking. I'm trying to do this without knocking my massive pile of books over. So far so good, but it's not going to stay that way, of course. But I am continuing with The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel to The Hunger Games, the first prequel. This is set during President Snow's time when he's late teens, like 17, 18, I think. So this is before he becomes president. Yeah, I have technically only just started this yesterday. I'm literally only on like page 10, so I barely started this. I'm already on like the 23rd of September, so I'm not expecting to finish this because it's like a 500-page book. Yeah, so I'm planning to use this for Katie's 500+ book prompt for Princess Bride-athon, naturally. So yeah, yeah. Don't really need to say much else for that one. Pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so the next one. Oh shoot! I forgot to do the next. Pooh. Okay. So the next yearly challenge is Alma's yearly challenge, which is the Journey Through Time. I'm doing both sections, so she's doing decades and centuries. So for October, for centuries, we're in the 12th century, which is the 1100s. And I picked an ebook that is thankfully on Kindle Unlimited, so I don't have to spend any money. Always a plus. And I found this book by Ellis Peters, which, as far as I'm aware, is not a pseudonym, but it's another name for this other author, sort of thing, a pseudonym, or I can't remember now. But this is the first chronicle of Brother Cadfael. It's medieval, so I apologise for the pronunciation. But this book is called A Morbid Taste for Bones, and I think this is a historical mystery book. It's quite short, it's under 300 pages, so I'm hoping to get through this one. So that's the centuries. Now, the Opu moment that you saw and heard me do is for Alma's decades, which is for October the 2000s, which is 2000 to 2009, and I forgot to check. So I was struggling to find the book before filming, and I had to go down to get another book anyway. So I was like, right, well, I'll go have a look at some of my other books and see which ones are published in the 2000s, because that's how I did it. I did centuries just set in those worlds, or mostly in those times, sorry. Not necessarily published in those times. And then for decades, I have been looking for books that were published in those decades. And I forgot to check for the 2000s. So what I'm going to have to do is I am going to have to get back to you on that one. What I'll probably do is write it down as I'm saying this sometime, saying what book I picked. I don't necessarily need to put the date as long as it's within the 2000s before 2010. So sorry about that. I meant to do that whilst I was downstairs. Okay. The next yearly challenge is the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge by Chantel from Chantel Reads All Day. And for October, we're in history. So obviously it's a one-word prompt. It's very loose. So I'm going to go for historical fiction. Now, I have quite a few that I can use because of reasons like I've not got to them yet in this month of September. And then some of them just because of other prompts for other readathons. So, I'm going to show you which ones are in the running for historical, and we'll just go from there. I'm not sure which one I will pick. It will all just depend on when I get to them and when I finish all of that stuff. So the first one is obviously the ebook, the A Morbid Taste for Bones, because that's set in a historical time in the past. Then we've got All My Secrets by Lynn Austin. This is a Christian historical fiction, and I think it's probably a romance. I have been planning to get to this book this month in September. Not sure if I will. So this is a possibility for October for Chantel's reading challenge. And then the others also count as historical. So we've got another Christian author, and that is James Joe Wright, and we've got The Lost Boys of Barlow Theatre. This is I think a romantic suspense or thriller. I can't remember, but there's usually a romance from what I've heard of some sort. I could be wrong though, because I've never read James Joe Wright. And whilst I'm on James Joe Wright, I also have another book of hers as well, and that is The Vanishing of Castle Moreau. Both of these, by the way, as you can tell by the Read Your Bookshelf prompt, they're both historical fictions. And then I've got another one that is one that I have been reading this month but haven't finished, and that is The Wartime Book Club by Kate Thompson. This again is a historical fiction. This is set during World War II. So that is another historical fiction that I could pick. So I've got a few options, and it all just depends on what I get to and whether I feel like I want to use that book for her prompt. Then the next one for the yearly challenges is Rosina's Read Christian Romance Challenge. And so, again, because, as I said before, I'm not sure if I'll finish it this month, I may have to continue with the fall season prompt. I picked fall season for September, and I picked All My Secrets by Lynn Austin for that one. But if I don't get to it this month, I will have to get to that prompt next month. And then for October itself, I decided to go for Brave by Mishu Andrews for past favourite, because I have read this book already, and the new book has just come out, the sequel to this, which is Noble, I think. Yeah, Noble. So I want to reread this because it makes sense. Not necessarily because I have to. I don't necessarily feel like I have to in terms of memory necessarily, but I did really enjoy it. It was definitely a favourite, so I thought that would count. So I have two of those for 1 month. And that's mainly because I'm struggling to find the animal on the cover for my Christian romance. So I might have to look on my Kindle for that one. And then the last yearly challenge is the Year of More challenge, also run by Chantel from Chantel Reads All Day. And in October we have Rainbow Valley. So I will be reading this by Ella Montgomery. Also, as I have been saying, there are books I haven't been able to get to. So there's a possibility I may also need to continue with September's prompt for the Year of Maud, and that's Anna Ringleside, because I also have not got to this yet either. So it's very possible, like with the Read Christian Romance, I might have to also read 2 Ella Montgomery books. So I've got quite a bit of reading to do, unfortunately. So that's the last of my actual yearly challenges. Now it's time to get into my monthly ones. So first I do have the Autumn Reading Bingo, also funnily enough, run by Chantel, and this is done between September and November, including those months. So this month so far I have done Baking and Orange on the Cover, and I'm currently doing the short story or book under 200 pages prompt. So the next ones I have are Warm Beverage, Trees or Leaves, Creepy, Cozy, Fire or Rain, and Atmospheric. And I was planning to do 3 each time, and I definitely know I could definitely do Trees or Leaves and Creepy for this month. But warm beverage, I'm not sure I can really do that I can see. So warm beverage might have to be one I need to find at some point, or I might use one of the other prompts that I've mentioned. So we'll see. So those I haven't done specific books for yet, because I have a few options, at least for 2 of them. So again, that's one where we'll have to see what I get to and all of that stuff. So that's it for the autumn reading bingo. We are now on to our official monthly readathons. So there's only 2 I'm taking part in. So one of them is the Middle Earth Readathon, and this is hosted by Reese from the Writing Songbird, Celestria from Celestria, Holly from Lovely Day with Holly, and Kristi from Kristi A. Cole. Obviously I'll link everyone down below. I follow everyone except Holly, so I will start following Holly because obviously I want to tag her in my videos and also in my Instagram posts if she's on Instagram. So I'm sure she's really lovely. So if you're not following her, I'm sure she'd appreciate, you trying her out. She really wants to stick with her. So there are, apparently they've done it differently this year. I didn't join in last year, but I'm going to join in this year. And there are 2 teams this year. There is the Lord of the Rings team, and then there's the Hobbit team. And you can do both if you really want to, or you can just do one of them. And I think they said either if you get a blackout for one of them, or if you do all 18 prompts, you can get into a giveaway, but I can't remember which one it is. So I would recommend you watch Reese's video and, anyone else's videos to get that. But definitely Reese's, because I know she definitely talks about the giveaway. I don't think she knew what they were doing just yet when she filmed that. But yeah, anyway, so each team and each set of prompts is your normal 9. And they said you cannot double up. Not within each team and not between each team. So it has to be 9 or 18 different books completely. So I've written down both, not because I'm expected to do both, but because I have quite a lot of books on my TBR, because that's just the way it's been lately. Doesn't mean I can get into them all, but there we go. So mainly because maybe I'll end up getting to some of the prompts from one of them, but I'm going to focus on just one in particular. So I'm going to focus on the Hobbit team, but I'll tell you the Lord of the Rings one as well, but I won't go through them. So each prompt for the Lord of the Rings team is the Fellowship, Found Family prompt, the One Ring, A Dangerous Trial, Merry and Pippin, Comedic Element, Mines of Moria, A Dark and Dreary Place, Lothlorien, A Free Space, Second Breakfast, a sequel, Gimli and Legolas, Unlikely Duo, Faramir and Boromir, Sibling Loyalty, and then Aragorn and Arwen, A Love Story. So those are all the prompts for Lord of the Rings. I haven't done books for those, so I'm not going to go through what I would pick or use for those. But the ones I am focusing on are the Hobbit team. So I'm going to start with each prompt and I'll tell you what book I am using. So the first prompt is The Shire, and that is a comfort read. And I decided to use Anne of Ingleside by Ellen Montgomery / Rainbow Valley by Ellen Montgomery. Now, Rainbow Valley is after Anne. I assume she'll probably, I don't know how far in the future, but I assume Anne is around in this. But I think this is more focused on her kids. But because it's still within the world of Anne of Green Gables, I'm also counting this, and I'm counting both for the comfort read because I don't know if I will have already read Anne of Ingleside before October. But otherwise, I will use Anne of Ingleside. The next prompt is Gandalf the Grey, and that is a mentor. And I decided to use, even though this book actually fulfills, well, every prompt, because the prompts are based on this book, I'm going to use The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Because none of my other books really count. One of them does technically count for like a mentor, but I'm also going to use that book for a different prompt. Although I am basing that on the film because I've not read that book, but we'll get to that when we get to that prompt. So I picked The Hobbit for a mentor because obviously Gandalf. Also, this is going to be a buddy read between me and Whitney from Whitney Reads, I think is the name of her channel now. I forget. Yeah, we're both going to read this for the first time. Neither of us has read it. And I don't think either of us have read Lord of the Rings either, the trilogy. But I could be wrong. I don't think so. But yeah, no, because we're both saying how we're a bit intimidated. Yeah, so, yeah, we're both reading The Hobbit for the first time. I've never read any of the Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit series / book. But I have watched the films of all 6 of them. And I really enjoyed them. So I'm excited and nervous to get to this. So yeah, that's a buddy read, and I'm going to use that for a mentor. The next prompt is Erebor, and that is a book that has a quest or a journey. And what did I use for this? I used Brave by Misu Andrews, because this first book, I've already read it, and it definitely has a journey in it. So I'm going to use this, because if I can, I want to double up on books I'm already going to be reading, instead of having to have even more books. Then the next prompt is Philly and Killy, and that is an unshakable bond. And I decided to use Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. I know in the future you could say that doesn't really count, but this is before, so I'm going to count it. And also they do technically still have an unshakable bond, and obviously I'm going by the 3 main characters, the friends Harry, Hermione and Ron. So I'm going to go for those. Then there's Rivendell, and that's another free space. I don't know what book I'm going to use that for yet because of that. Probably just any book I'm not using for the other prompts, basically. The next one is Thorin, and that is a strong male character. And again, there's a few that I could use. What book did I use it for? I have a few I could use it for. I'm not sure what book I'm going to use. So I could use Noble, because of King David. I would call that a strong male character. Obviously the same with the first one really, but I'm not going to use the first one for that one. I could also use the Wartime Book Club, to be fair, because there's definitely a strong male character, although he's not in it a lot, but he is in it. And you could also, I guess you could also say that Nazis are strong male characters, but they're not nice, so it's up to you whether you want to count those. But there's also possibilities of using The Vanishing of Castle Walrow by James O. Wright, or The Lost Boys of Barlow Theatre by the same author, because I know they'll have, like, certainly from the looks of it, there's like other guys in this, like the police and stuff, so it's very possible that they will have a strong male character, but I'm not sure. So yes, that's what I'm going to stick with for now, and we'll just have to find out. You'll just have to stick around for another month and see which books I use. Then the next prompt is Bilbo Baggins, and that is an unlikely hero. And what did I use for this? Oh yes, sorry, no, I can't use the Wartime Book Club for strong male character, because I decided to use this for unlikely hero, because one of the characters, one of the women in this, is kind of in that role and is kind of an unlikely one, because she's very much an introvert. She's a librarian, so she's very much, and certainly feels like she's not very well, not rebellious, but like you know, it's Nazi occupied Jersey in 1943, so she is doing those sorts of rebellious things. So she is kind of an unlikely hero in that respect. But it's hard to describe without, like, spoiling things. So, yeah. So I'm going to use that one for that prompt, sorry. So this definitely won't be a strong male character. Then the next prompt is Legolas and Turiel, and that is Forbidden Love. And I decided to use The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins for this. This could technically also count for strong male character, but I'm not using it for that. I'm going to use it for Forbidden Love, because obviously there's definitely, if you've seen the film, there's definitely possibilities of that sort of romance when there shouldn't be one, sort of thing. So I thought I would pick this for that. And then the last prompt is, and I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, Beorn is Beorn. Sorry for the pronunciation. And that is a character who is not what they seem. So, yeah. Oh, I think I suspected that maybe the Vanishing at Castle Morrow by James A. Wright might count for this, for a character who's not what they seem, because there is a grandmother who has a hoarding problem in the second timeline in, like, modern day. And this is all on the blurb, by the way, because I've not read this before. But it sounds like there's, like, a mystery found when the main character is for the present day timeline is going through all of the hoarding collectible stuff, and there's a mystery that she finds. So I'm not sure if this will count, but it might mean that this grandmother who this woman is helping might not be who they think she is, who's not what they seem. So I'm going to tentatively count this towards that. Otherwise, I'm not really sure what book to use it for, because either I'm using other books for other prompts, or I've not read them, so I don't know for sure if they count. I guess if you have read any of these books and you know they definitely don't count towards any of these prompts, do let me know, because I don't know. So that is the middle of Readathon. The last Readathon is a long-awaited one. So if any of you have been with me since September, October last year, Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails did a readathon in October that I joined in, and because I just had to. Well, I didn't have to, but her theme is very much a theme I love, so I just had to join in because of that. And she's doing it again this year, and that is the Journey Through the Bible readathon. And it's very Indiana Jones sort of adventure, archaeology sort of themed readathon. And obviously, as the title suggests, this is very much based on historical archaeology stuff to do with the Bible. So the rules apply this year as they did last year. Some of the prompts / places or things or people have changed. Some of them haven't. She'll know more about that if you watch her video, because obviously I'll link her below, because I will be anyway for the Princess Bride-athon. So it's the same as last year. You can do as many prompts as you like for all of them except the last two, where you have to have one for each of them, because those are the encounter, like a trapdoor or whatever, and then how you escape from that encounter. So those two, you have to have only one book for each one, and then the rest you can have as many books and prompts as you would like. So far, I'm only going for one of each, but there may be other books I might count for them. One of them definitely, but I don't know what I'm going to use for that yet, which I will tell you when we get to there. So let's get started. So the first question is, where are you going? And the prompts are Jericho, biggest book on your TBR, Jordan River, crossing 2 genres, so one book having 2 genres. Canaan, a book that you promised to read last year. Or The Red Sea, a book that lays flat, so it has to be basically flat when you hold it out and read it. It can't be because you yourself have already bent it. It has to just naturally lay flat, like be quite a bendy book. So, the prompt that I have definitely picked is Canaan, and that is a book that I promised to read last year. And I'm sure, if you know the readathon from last year, a book came out and was the group buddy read for the Journey Through the Bible readathon last year, and that was Brave by Reese Andrews. But because I'm in the UK, it didn't come out on the same day for me, at least in the bookshop that I ordered it from. So I couldn't join in, which was really sad. So, it's a book I wanted and, kind of quote-unquote promised to read, but I didn't think I would be able to because I didn't think it would arrive in time. And then, me being a slow reader, I didn't think I would read and finish it in time. So that's what I'm using this book for. Because why not? Because it also counts for Sheena's Read Christian Romance prompt for a past fave. So I'm winning there. And then the next question is, what are you hunting? And this has the most prompts. But obviously, both of them you can do more than one prompt for. So, the options are Pharaoh's Tomb, a book with royalty. The Rod of Moses, a physical book. The Temple of Jerusalem, a special edition. The Ark of the Covenant, a favourite genre. The Dead Sea Scrolls, a book of the Bible. King Solomon's Treasure, a book of poetry. And Precious Rubies, read on the cover. So, the only one I haven't ticked officially that I am hoping to do is the Dead Sea Scrolls, a book of the Bible. But I don't know what book I'm going to read yet. So, we will have to see. But in terms of other books, I did officially pick Precious Rubies, read on the cover. And I picked, where are you? I picked The Lost Boys of Barlow Theatre by James O. Wright because I would say that's a very red cover with all of those red theatre seats. So I'm picking that one. The next prompt is, who do you meet or will you meet? I'm not sure which. And the different people are a librarian, which is a library recommendation. A pilot, which is any mode of transport on the cover. Treasure hunters. Treasure hunter has a book with foil on the cover. And then Tomb Raiders steal a book from a TBR. And I'm quoting steal because Katie said you're not stealing a book, but you're stealing someone's ideas. So if it's someone you watch or you follow or whoever, and you see a book on their TBR that you would like to read, then you steal that book and also put that on your own TBR for you to read. So the prompt that I picked was Treasure Hunter for a book with foil on the cover, which funnily enough is what I picked last year. But you'll be pleased to know it's not a repeat. I decided to pick The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien because I would say that's probably foil on the cover with how shiny that is. So I'm going to go for that one. And now we're at the prompts and questions that you can only pick one book/prompt for. So this next question is, what are you going to encounter? And the options are a water pit, and that's a book with water on the cover. A trapdoor, a friend chooses your book. A rolling boulder, a new release that you meant to read. And then Net Trap, a book with a plot twist. So the book I decided to go for is, is Rolling Boulder, a new release that you meant to read. And I'm going to pick Brave by Misha Andrews because, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? So I'm going to go for that one. The last question is, how do you escape? And the different escapes or items that you can use to escape are a knife, which is a mystery book, a trapdoor, which is a book with a door on the cover, clothing, a person on the cover, or a rope ladder, the highest rated book on your TBR. And I think Katie said you can use like Goodreads for that, like, and just pick whatever is highest rated. So for that one, I picked, I didn't read it. Yeah, no, that's fine. The book I picked for that is The Vanishing at Castle Moreau, because I couldn't really find anywhere any books that had actual doors on the cover in Christian fiction, because she said it'd be cool if you can read Christian fiction, because obviously it's Journey Through the Bible, but she said obviously you might not always be able to, or you don't want to, and that's fine. So that's what I've been trying to do. That's why, if you've noticed, a lot of them are Christian fiction, or a lot of people count as Christian fiction in terms of like The Hobbit. So I decided to go for The Vanishing Castle Moreau, because just here, you might not be able to see it very well, but there's like a little bit of an indent shadow there that looks like a doorway, and I'm going to count that, because that looks like a doorway, therefore looks like a door. I'm counting it. I literally have no other books that I can use, unless I go for a wild card that isn't a Christian book, but I also don't know if it's a clean book. So there we go. You are all just going to have to cope. But Katie, if you do think this doesn't really count, because even though it looks like a doorway, you don't think it counts enough, do let me know. I will just look for another book, but it will have to be a non-Christian book. But that's fine for me. So yes, those are all the books I think I'm going to read, and all of my readathons. Now, other than the last two prompts for the Journey Through the Bible, the what do you encounter and how do you escape, I may do other prompts, but they will be unplanned. They will be, if I decide to use one of my other books that I'm reading for a prompt, because they different prompt, because they fit, then I'll use those. But yeah, otherwise I'm not going to. Otherwise I'll just stick to one each, apart from the book of the Bible. What are you hunting bit? I'll be doing too. But yes, I think that's it. I am done. You're welcome. And despite how big my TBR is, I didn't take as long to film as I thought I would. I'm quite impressed. But to be fair, I've tried to be concise. So now I'm concerned if I have missed anything. But I don't think I have. Other than that Journey Through Time thing, which obviously I will write down when I was talking about it the first time. So that's it. There may be other books that I'll carry over because I haven't finished them, for mainly because they're yearly challenges, not for any other reason. But I will talk about those when I film my wrap up, which will most likely be my next video after this one is uploaded. So yes, stay tuned for that. Some of them are probably obvious that I probably will be carrying them over, such as the Ballad of I always do that. I keep wanting to say Ballad of Songbird. It's kind of saying the word B. The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. This is probably the more likely one that I will carry over, just because of how big it is. But there may be others. I don't know. We will just have to find out. I don't know. But yes, that's me done with my TBR. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you're reading in October. Are you planning to do any of the readathons I'm doing, or any of the yearly challenges? Are you taking part in other ones? Because I'm aware there are other readathons going on, especially in particular Victober. But classics scare me, so I'm not going to do that. I do read classics, but not that many, especially in terms of adult classics, and by that I mean classics that aren't children's classics, because obviously, and if any of you have been watching, you will have seen Anne of Green Gables, which is a children's classic, so you know what I mean. They often take a lot longer to read, especially the Victorian ones, because there's a certain author we all know, mentioning no names, Charles Dickens, who is very difficult for myself to read, not just because of page count, but also even reading A Christmas Carol, which is a very short book. It's less than 100 pages. It still took me a week to read, or near enough anyway, and which is crazy, but it's just because it's so descriptive. And it's a great book. I'm not saying it isn't, but it just takes me longer to read. So yeah, that's why I'm not joining in with that one. Also, I already have like 1 million books on my TBR, so yeah. It ain't happening, love. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have had a good month. I've kind of struggled with my reading. I've read more books than I thought I would, but that's partly because some of them I was reading in, August. So I finished those in September, so yeah, they technically count because I finished them this month, but not really. But we'll talk about those in my wrap up. And also I read a couple of children's books, which are generally quite quick to read, which helps. So that's good. Yeah. Yes. So I will leave you to it, because of me saying this is very quick. I am now coming up to 45 minutes because I can't seem to stop talking. You are welcome. No. Anyway, I'm a bit weird. I'm filming a lot later than I normally do. It's currently like, I don't know what time it is. It's probably like 8 o'clock or something. So not too late, but late for me. 8:30. That's not too bad. So yeah, I need to, interesting. Anyway, so yes, let's, leave you all to it so you can all get on with your day. Thank you for watching. I love you all. God bless, and I will see you all next week. Bye.